Proverbs chapter 24. We ended off last week with verse 23. And we're going to do verse 23 again because it connects into 24 and 25 in this subject of partiality and righteous judgment. So, 24 and verse 23. These things also belong to the wise. It is not good to show partiality in judgment. Now, we spoke about that last week. We don't have to speak a whole lot on this particular verse, only to get us into the next one. Verse 24, he who says to the wicked, you are righteous. Him the people will curse, nations will abhor him. All right, so in Ezekiel 13, verse 22, stating you have strengthened the hand of the wicked. That's exactly what's going to happen. If you make yourself, your kingdom, because Solomon is talking to the future king, if you make your kingdom a home for wickedness, where wickedness is engendered, wickedness is protected, what's going to happen? There's one thing that's going to happen. Well, I guess you can call it two things. Wickedness is going to increase, and the number of victims is going to increase. That's what's going to happen. And when you say that the wicked are righteous, what you're saying is that the righteous are wicked. You're saying that the criminal is the victim and the victim is the criminal. That's precisely what you are saying. And of course, we go back to Isaiah 5 and 20. We have mentioned this before, of the one who calls evil good and good evil, light for dark and dark for light, sweet for bitter, bitter for sweet. Okay? That you have twisted things so much that you've made everything the opposite of what it actually is. And protecting the wicked, nothing good will come out of this. And everyone will see through it. Everyone will see through it, and everyone will know that there is no justice here. There's none. And it won't take very long for people to figure it out. That this particular king, this particular ruler, this particular whoever he is protecting the wicked. He's, for whatever reason, maybe he likes wickedness. Maybe he's receiving a bribe. Maybe those are his friends, or that happens to be a cousin. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We are not to show partiality in judgment. And I want you to notice, him the people will curse. There will be we can call it an undercurrent, or maybe it could be a flood. But in that nation, most people won't put up with that. They're not going to put up with it. They're going to be speaking about it, complaining about it, and if there is so much fear that is brought into a particular nation, especially having someone like a dictator, someone who's just a wicked king, well, they're going to be thinking it. They're going to be whispering it. And him, the people will curse, whether it is out loud or in their thoughts. They're going to be doing it. Now notice the next bit of this. Nations will abhor him. Now this is in fact showing international reputation exists, especially when you have leaders. All right? There is a reputation that will exist, and it did exist in the ancient world, and that there were international relations that existed in the ancient world. As long as you have tribes or some kind of centralized government, no matter how big it is, whether you go down to just basically a tribe or to a nation or whatever you have, where you have as some kind of governing authority, they're going to, and let's just talk about nations first. Nations are going to have relations with each other, and the relations with each other is going to be one king with another king. That's what's going to happen. And if we go down to a tribal level, it's going to be one chieftain with another chieftain. That's what's going to happen. And so you have nations will abhor him. They're going to know. They're going to realize yeah, this place allows for wickedness. We don't want, they're falling apart. We want to have nothing to do with that. We are going to behave ourselves, step away from this group. And Ezekiel 13 and verse 19, it speaks of killing people who should not die and keeping people alive who should not live. And that is killing the innocent and protecting the wicked. And that's the absolute opposite of what civil authority is supposed to do, as described in Romans 13. He does not bear the sword in vain. And the sword is meant against the evildoer, and it is meant to protect the innocent. And the sword is not an instrument of just poking somebody and gently prodding them around. The sword has a specific task. The sword has a specific use. That is killing. That's precisely what the sword is for. And if we turn that around, he does not bear the sword in vain. We turn that around of where the sword is going against the innocent and protecting the wicked. Well, who wants to be a part of that? If you have any kind of sense about you, or any kind of even wicked people could see that's a bad idea. Even the wicked could look through that one and see, while they would want injustice for them, they would want justice for other occasions. And you can't just switch it on, switch it off, switch it on, switch it off. You can't do it. Anyway, even if you could, it's not just. That would be showing partiality and kind of spotty justice. Now we come to verse 25. But, so instead of saying to the wicked, you are righteous, but to those who rebuke the wicked will have delight, and a good blessing will come upon them. All right, Proverbs 20 and verse 8, a king scatters all evil with his eyes. That is, justice is being done. And it is something to fear. If in fact, law has no teeth, why follow the law? All right, why do it? If law is just words only and there is no action, there's no punishment whatsoever, it's a paper tiger. If it's even that, it's something that is words and nothing else. But those who rebuke the wicked, that's not saying you're righteous. It's saying you have done wrong and you have seriously done wrong. He will have delight. Okay, justice is in fact done. Correction is in fact made. And peace is kept. When wickedness increases, do you think there's peace and joy in that? Never, never. It increases to where no one is safe, nothing is safe, there's nothing but chaos, everything goes to ruin. There's nothing good that comes out of it. Where the wicked aren't rebuked, but where they are rebuked, yeah, there's good blessing will come upon them. There's stability in that. There is peace that is kept, and in fact, the innocent are protected. They're kept from being victims, and you are putting wickedness away. It's being shut up. It is being shut away in all this. Now we come to verse 26. He who gives a right answer kisses the lips. What does that mean? Well, we have other proverbs in this that give similar things. All right, 15 verse 23. A man has joy by the answer of his mouth, and a word spoken in due season. How good it is. All right, giving a right answer, that would be in the context of Proverbs. That's a wise answer. That's good advice. Someone who gives you good advice is someone, in fact, who honors you. Is doesn't think you're some sort of dummy and will do anything and believe anything. Someone who gives you a wise answer actually respects you as a person. Someone who gives you a foolish answer is someone who it means nothing to them. Really, it means nothing to them. Neither you nor what they said. It's just nothing. And this just came to mind. I may have used this illustration before. I don't know if you've ever seen Fiddler on the Roof. All right, but there is a song. There's a song in Fiddler on the Roof, and it's kind of funny. Of "If I Were a Rich Man." Okay, and he says important people would see him to ask him advice. And he says, it doesn't matter if I answer right or if I answer wrong. When you're rich, they think you really know. Okay, well, that's not the case. And if that would be a thing of, it doesn't matter what I answer them, they'll think I'm right regardless. Well, is that actually showing respect for the other person? Well, no, it's not. It's not. It's actually just playing pretending that you know when you don't really know at all. They may think that you do. They may think, well, here's an expert. They may think, well, here's someone that has been trained or knows what they're talking about. But do they? Are they giving you the right answer? And I have talked to folks, and they have spoken about like certain therapists, counselors, psychologists or psychiatrists, and that you can't take their advice. Their advice really is bad advice. They don't know. And some of them, it may be of trying to give you an answer that you wanted anyway. All right, so, so that you're pleased with the whole thing. But all right, he who gives a right answer, okay, this is a wise answer, an honest answer. It shows friendship. It also shows trustworthiness. And a friend, you know what you want out of a friend is, yeah, you want them to be friendly, but you also want them to help you, at least you should, when you're wrong or when you have an important question. Someone who's actually going to be there and say, you know, this is the correct answer. This is the correct way. And that is friendship. It's not someone who's just a flatterer, someone who's just a yes man. Here is someone that they are trustworthy, and they will tell you. A foolish answer is going to bring harm. That's what it does. Proverbs 25:11, a word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. That is a beautiful, valuable thing. But just spouting something off, it can definitely bring harm. Now, we come to verse 27. All right, chapter 24, verse 27. Prepare your outside work, make it fit for yourself in the field, and afterward build your house. All right, now, I do not think Solomon is telling you how to settle a land. I don't think he's telling you how to do it. I don't think that's it at all. If you find yourself that you are going someplace and taking 40 acres and there's nothing on it, and you're gonna make it into farmland or whatever you're gonna do. All right, you could take this advice. I'm not going to tell you not to, but I don't think he's talking about that at all. I think what he is talking about is that there are certain things you need to learn first before you build your life on it. There are certain things you need to do. Learn wisdom, then you'll know how to build your house. then you'll know how to build a life around that. And of course, he's talking to his son. Here are some things you've got to do first. And I have personally seen some men, I'm just talking about things that I have witnessed myself. I have seen some men who have suddenly decided they want to preach. And they just go in it headlong. And they have not taken the time to sharpen the axe, as one may say. They have not taken the time to really learn much of anything. They just decide they're going to go off and do it. They just decide they can manage it, they can do it, but they haven't prepared themselves for it. They've made really no prep work at all as to what it takes. In Ecclesiastes 10:10, if the axe is dull and one does not sharpen the edge, then he must use more strength, but wisdom brings success. All right, sharpen the axe. Get the ground ready. Prepare your outside work. Make it fit for yourself in the field. All right, do all the prep work. Do everything you need. Then build your house on that. And the younger you can do that, the better off you're going to be. Now, not everybody can do that. Not everybody's in a situation where they could have done that. But here is this idea of making everything right for your house to be there. Luke 6:48, he is like a man building a house, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, who dug deep and laid the foundation on the rock. All right, learn from God, base your life there. Learn from Him first, and then build your life off of that. Verse 28. Do not be a witness against your neighbor without cause, for would you deceive with your lips? All right, this is without cause. It doesn't say don't ever be a witness against your neighbor, because your neighbor may have done something wicked and there is something that needs to be told about this. This is being a false witness. False witness is an abomination, 6:19. Also, Matthew 5:22, but I say to you that whoever is angry with his brother without a cause. All right, and we can see that of places like 1 Kings chapter 21 and verse 13. There was Jezebel had set up a situation to kill Naboth. And she actually, in a letter to the elders of the town, says, get scoundrels. She actually says that. And so they got scoundrels. And scoundrels then, one on Naboth's left, one on Naboth's right. And suddenly they begin saying, Naboth just said something. Naboth just blasphemed the king and God. All right. Well, that's all we need. And they go out and they kill him. All right. And then they send message back. Yeah, Naboth is dead. And so, you have these scoundrels. It's not good to be that scoundrel or either of those scoundrels. And a false witness, Proverbs 19 verse 5, a false witness will not go unpunished. And if someone needs, here's a little principle. If someone ever asks you to lie, there's something wrong with what they want to do. All right? God never asks us to lie. Nor does He make allowances for it. Never. He doesn't make allowances for it. Christ does not need us to lie for Him. He doesn't need it, because the truth upholds Him. Just tell the truth. Tell the truth. But anything that needs you, whether it's a friend or a family member or an employer or a boss, whoever it happens to be, anyone who asks you to lie, there's something wicked underneath this. All right? Because whatever it is, it needs to be dealt with in a truthful way. Every single time. And I don't have surah and verse number, but in the Quran, it does give allowances for lying if you need to. It does. That you can lie about your faith, basically saying, no, I'm not Muslim at all. You can lie about your faith if it is something you need to do in the moment. You can do that. All right. Christ has a different approach to that. It is be faithful until death. You don't deny Him. He's not asking you to do it. He doesn't want you to lie about it. He doesn't want you to just to say any kind of lie. You just tell the truth. Now, concerning lies, I mean, if someone asks you a question, instead of lying, you don't have to answer the question. All right, now if it's something that demands an answer, you need to answer, obviously. And when it comes to confessing Jesus as the Christ, there is no occasion where it's okay just to be quiet there. There is no. You always be willing to confess Him and remain with Him. Now, do not be a witness against your neighbor without cause. For would you deceive with your lips? It's convincing your lips to speak a lie, and maybe you need to convince your lips to speak the truth. And scoundrels are the ones who, in fact, are false witnesses. And someone who is willing to lie with something's not something. The truth is not in this. The truth it will not be there. Okay, as in this, whatever they're trying to prop up, the truth isn't propping it up. So they got to make something else up. Now, here comes that of vengeance. Verse 29. Do not say, I will do to him just as he has done to me. I will render to the man according to his work. All right, we've got quite a number of things on that, but Romans 12:19, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. That belongs to Him. All right, we can look here in the book of Proverbs. We can also look under the law of Christ, and we can see where we are to do good to those who have mistreated us. We're to bless them. We are to pray for them. And definitely we are not out for vengeance. God, as a whole, through time, whether we're talking about going to the law of patriarchy, all the way to the beginning, going to the law of Moses, or going to the law of Christ, God never called for vigilantes. Matter of fact, He made laws concerning the safety of someone against vigilantes. That's why you had those cities of refuge, because you could have an accidental death, an accidental killing. You were part of the accident and maybe the cause of the accident. I don't know about that. But there was no premeditation, there was no hatred, there was nothing like that. And someone may come from that family and want to kill you. Well, you would have a place of refuge, a place where you could go for protection. All right? God has never been for violence in the streets. He's never been for vigilantism. We let Him take care of that. Vengeance is mine, I will repay. And He will repay more than you ever could have. You could just rest on that. But we're supposed to love our enemies. That's what we're supposed to do. And yes, that can be hard to do. It's easy for me to love your enemies who've never affected me, and vice versa. But it's harder for me to love my enemies because there's emotion in it, and there's distress in it, and how bad they were, and the way that they treated me or did this or that or the other. But having a love for them is in fact what is called for. That is why this truly is the religion of peace. Islam is not. That's a joke. That's a joke. It never was a religion of peace. It was always the religion of one man, and he becomes a warlord. Okay, he becomes no savior. He dies for no one. He takes no sins away. He multiplies sins. And you talk about partiality and judgment and just wickedness, and that is not found in Christ or in God ever. Now we come to verse 30 to 34. Solomon is relaying another personal story. He's done this in chapter 7. And it's just a marking out a thing about the book of where there are times when Solomon, instead of making just short proverbs and the like, that he is relaying a story, something that he saw. And this concerns the sluggard, the lazy man. All right, and this is what he said. I went by the field of the lazy man. So he didn't travel to the field. He's going by the field, and it's just something that he discovered. It's like in chapter 7 when he says that he was just looking out from his house. He's looking through the lattice. He's not looking for anything in particular. He's just looking out, and he sees this young man of no wisdom, one of the simple, who has no understanding, and then relays the story of he wasn't spying. He wasn't looking to see what wickedness can I see this evening. He's just out, and this is what he witnesses. So he went by the field of the lazy man. And he doesn't say, and I know Joe, we'll just call him Joe. I know Joe the lazy man, or I know Greg the lazy man. I know he's lazy. He doesn't have to know the man to know something isn't right here. He doesn't have to know the man. He said, I went by the field of the lazy man, and the vineyard of the man devoid of understanding. That someone who's devoid of understanding, just put that down as knows nothing, or that would be equivalent to ignores wisdom. All right? Because Solomon is going to learn something in this that the lazy man could have learned a long time ago. But he's not. He's disregarding it. So I went by the field of the lazy man and by the vineyard of the man devoid of understanding, and there it was, all overgrown with thorns. Its surface was covered with nettles. Its stone wall was broken down. So here are years of neglect, years of not taking care of this. And this is precisely the same as if it were destroyed. Which takes us back to Proverbs 18 and verse 9. He who is slothful, he who is slothful in his work is a brother to him who is a great destroyer. There is no difference between someone coming in to this field and to this vineyard and just destroying it, breaking down the wall, taking out the vines and any crops that happen to be in the field, taking that all away. There's no difference between that and what the slothful man has done. None. In either way, the wall is broken And either way, and it's by time and neglect, either way, there is no food growing here. It's just thorns and thistles and nettles. That's the crop that's here. And it's all because of the lazy man who happens to own this place. And everything is just crumbling in disrepair. Everything is becoming overgrown. And there's nothing of value now. And it comes down, once again, and we've discussed this, that, here you have someone who has everything they need to make a living and be okay. May not be the wealthiest person on the planet, but then again, they might. Who knows? Apply something, who knows? But you've got enough. Enough is there to make a living. Enough is there to take care of yourself, take care of your family, and all is good. But it requires something out of you. It requires it, and it is expected that it be done. In Proverbs 16 and 26, the person who labors for himself, for his hungry mouth drives him on. Yeah. That is human response. That is what people will do naturally, unless they just decide they're not going to do that. They'd rather be lazy. This is the basis of all economy. This is the basis of how we live from day to day. You must do something. God is not just going to pile the money on top of you just because. He expects something from you. And this lazy man who has a field, who has a vineyard, would have more than many other people who are doing better than him. All right? He's got land. He's got a vineyard, no doubt, planted before he got it by a father, a grandfather, whatever it is. He has a field. He's got everything he needs, but it comes to nothing because it takes more than just the land to have a harvest. It takes more than that. It takes more than just having well-established vines for you to have a successful vineyard. It takes work, effort from year to year, and taking care of all that. And under negligence, nothing gets done. You might as well have just burned the whole thing. Now, we come to verse 32. After describing what he saw, he says this, when I saw it, notice, I considered it well. It's as though he stopped and looked and thought, or as he continued on, he's thinking about what he just saw. All right? He considers what he just saw of, why is that like that? What has occurred? What brought this condition? And there's a conclusion to be made. And he's going to make that conclusion. I considered it well. And notice what he says next. I looked on it and received instruction. Here is a wise man receiving more wisdom. And this is what a wise man will do. Looking at something, making an observation, considering it, and then coming away with a conclusion. Coming away with a proper conclusion, a wise conclusion, a sane conclusion in all of this. That there is instruction, something is to be gained by all this, and we can learn. We can learn in numerous ways. We can learn by being told. We can learn from our mistakes. We all do it. And we can also learn by the behavior of others, whether that's a good example of someone who's done something right or a bad example, as like with this, there's just nothing but neglect. We can look and see, where does this lead? Where does this behavior, this habit, this whatever is being done, where does all this in fact lead? Where this conduct, where does it lead? What does it give you? Because the lazy man, I guess, would think all I've got to do is just coast. Everything is good. Nothing, just it's going to continue to produce. It's going to continue just magically to do what needs to be done, and it doesn't. And it doesn't shake the lazy man at all, evidently. And he's going to describe why. And this verses 33 and 34 are in fact repeated verses, going to chapter 6, verses 10 and 11. And here is this being eased into poverty. Eased into it. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. All right? He has everything he needs, but he's easing himself where he'll never be impoverished. It just won't. There would have to be a famine or something that come around beyond his control that he would be impoverished. But if he's just being eased into this slothful behavior, eased into being a sluggard, into being this lazy man, then yeah, it's going to happen. And he says, verse 34. Once again, this is repeated in 6 and 11. So shall your poverty come like a prowler, and your need like an armed man. All right, this is going to occur. And you're asleep, and it just glides right on in. And going from having this years of neglect means that the work you're going to have to do to set everything right is going to be more and more and more each year. It's going to be. If you thought it was too much on year 1, by year 7, it's going to be considerably harder. It's going to be considerably harder. In my yard, and I'm doing it as of yesterday, in my yard, I take out trees all the time. And I do it like this. and that was a tree. It just came out of the ground, but that's a tree, and I got rid of it. If I let that go, there's going to come a point in time I'm going to have to get a chainsaw, and there's going to be a lot more work involved. And the bigger that thing grows, there comes a point when I can't handle it anymore. I got to hire somebody to do it now. And that there is this is what occurs with the lazy, the slothful, that things compound. Things get worse and worse and worse. And once again, if year 1 was too much, well, going down the line, it's just getting worse each year. Year 1, there probably wasn't a problem with the wall, but now there is. All right? And when it came to a point where there was a problem with the wall, well, you've got all your other business taken care of. Now you can take care of that and set that into order. And it's just a steady, it's a steady on, steady work, and that's what you do. That's what you do. And if you think that's not the way life should be, you're living in a dream world, all right? Get your head out of the clouds. And if you think somehow that everybody else should supply you with what you need, well, you're wrong there too. Because that's you're responsible for yourself. And someone who has been given resources and just ignoring those resources, squandering them, or like the prodigal son, just wasting them, well, that's a result of your own behavior. That's what it is. Now, we just read verse 34 again. So shall your poverty. That's a bad thing. Come like a prowler. It's just going to slip right on in. You've been asleep. You've been doing nothing. It just comes right in. And your need like an armed man. That's someone who's come to stay is what it sounds like to me. Now, we go to chapter 25, and we just look at this. These, and chapter 25 begins with this. These also are the Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied. All right, now, just a quick explanation. This is a new section, and this would have been done around 200 or more years, 200 plus years after Solomon was gone. Okay, and but somewhere or other, these had been collected. Somewhere or other, these had been written down, obviously in Solomon's day or soon thereafter, probably in Solomon's day, and now they are being incorporated in the book under under King Hezekiah. All right, so Solomon's reign. Now these numbers can be off, but generally they're in the ballpark. 971 to 931 BC. That's 40 years. And then Hezekiah's reign is 721 to 691 BC. And that's 29-year reign. And we're looking at over 200 years apart in this. And so this next section, and we will have, there will be at least one more section after this. But in this particular section, this is Proverbs that were not included to begin with, but now it's being completed, and this is occurring 200 years after Solomon has been gone. So we get a timestamp on this, just like we got from the beginning, knowing that it's Solomon. We have a timestamp as to when this was done. This happened to have been done considerably later. But we have now run out of time. I appreciate everybody being with us, and hopefully next week we will continue. Thank you.